All right, everyone, let's get started. Hi and welcome. This is Free Voice Lesson Thursday, and my name is Tara, your resident harmony nerd. I'm going to be giving a free voice lesson today, as I do every Thursday on TikTok Live and now also YouTube Live. And today's topic is breath support. I am a professional singer in New York City. I have been doing this for over a decade, as well as singing instruction. I'm a vocal coach, yoga teacher, and I consider myself like a really holistic music instructor. So I love that. When I first discovered yoga, it was actually my therapist who recommended that I try some sort of body-based therapy, and she thought she thought yoga would be a great way to dip my toe in to somatic work. Somatic work means of the body. And much to my surprise, when I started doing yoga regularly, I became a much better singer, way better musician. My reach on the piano actually increased by a third. Like all of these wild things kept happening. My breath support improved greatly. And so when I teach singing, I incorporate yogic breath work into my singing instruction. And so since today's free voice lesson topic is breath support, we're going to be talking a lot about like what is breath support, because I think it's a very misunderstood concept in singing. And I'm going to get into some of the anatomy so that I think that when we have a visual map and understanding of what goes on in our body when we're taking deep breaths, that we have a better chance of like understanding it and committing to it in our bodies. And I'll also give you some exercises that you can practice, just some breathing exercises, but also some vocal exercises to help you remember your breath support. And breath support is one of those really tricky things. Hey, Melody, thanks for joining us. It's one of those really tricky things where it's so easy to forget about when you're actually performing. So, what's super important with breath support is that we internalize it. Breath support has to be something that we intentionally practice consistently in order for our bodies to just start doing it on their own without us having to think about it. That is the absolute best way to maintain breath support while you sing, because it is an easy thing to forget about. And especially if you're singing a high note or a loud note, and you're having trouble with it, the first thing I want you to ask yourself is, am I supporting my breath? Okay. So the first thing I'd like to dispel is this. You've probably heard sing from your diaphragm, right? From various vocal coaches, online gurus, etc. What does that mean? In my opinion, it doesn't really mean anything. I think that this is old verbiage, that is outdated science, that we know better now. And I no shade to any other vocal instructors out there, but I do think it's a lazy way of communicating what breath support is, because we know that it's not true anymore and it doesn't really make sense. So if you've heard somebody say sing from your diaphragm and you have felt frustrated because you don't understand what that means, good, because it doesn't really mean anything. You can't sing from your diaphragm. You sing from your throat, and you can support your breathing mechanism from your abdominal wall. But the diaphragm is actually a passive muscle, meaning when we are involving the diaphragm in our deep diaphragmatic breaths, that it is, it's helping us accomplish what we're trying to accomplish, but you can't actually move the diaphragm. We're moving the intrinsic muscles surrounding the diaphragm that helps us inhale and exhale. Yes, Dina says, I keep trying to find explanation. That resonates. It keeps evading me. Yes, we're going to get into it today. We're going to talk for a little bit first, and then we're going to do some practice stuff. Do I have any other questions? A pretty warm winter, not much snow. Oh, wow, we're having the opposite in New York City. Minus 10 Celsius sounds very cold, though. Wow. Okay. All right, so let's do a little anatomy lesson, because I think the first important piece of understanding breath control and breath support is understanding what the breathing mechanism looks like and having like a basic understanding of the respiratory system. Okay, so this is my Mater's Understanding and Human Physiology book. Okay, I have this little page thingy in here. Oh, it's being difficult. Give me 1 second. Okay. All right. So I have YouTube over here and TikTok over here. So I'm going to try to hold this in a place where everybody can see it. Hold on. I got to take the green screen off on TikTok. So that they can see the book too. Okay. Welcome to my living room. All right. I think both places can see this now. Okay. So this, oh, I'm backwards. Help. Okay. This here is the diaphragm. Do you see how this is when it's just resting naturally, okay? Do you see how it kind of goes up into the lung space a little bit? So it creates like this negative space at the bottom of the lungs, right? And it kind of seals off the bottom of the lungs and separates the lungs out from like the intestines and all the other vital organs that rest below the diaphragm. So that's why when we inhale and we move the diaphragm down, it massages our internal organs. It's good for them. Okay. That's why deep breaths let our nervous systems know that we are safe, right? And shallow breaths do not accomplish the same thing. Shallow breaths indicate fight or flight to our nervous systems. So what happens when we inhale through the nose? The air comes in and down through our trachea and into our lungs. And there's these little things called bronchioli that transfer the oxygen into our lung space. And then what happens with the diaphragm is when we inhale, we pull the diaphragm down towards our pelvis, effectively like getting rid of this negative space that's inside of the lungs. And what happens when we pull down on the diaphragm is we suck air in, right? This pulling of the diaphragm pulls air into our nose and into our mouths. And then when we exhale, the diaphragm starts to push back up into the lung space, creating that negative space once more, forcing and pushing the air back out. So when we are learning breath control, which is controlling how fast or how slow we are releasing the breath, what we're actually learning to control are the intercostal muscles that are in the rib cage here, right? Because that helps us control the elastic recoil of the lungs, okay? And we're using all of our abdominal muscles to pace how quickly the diaphragm presses back up into this negative space in the lungs. Now, breath support is different from breath control. These two things mean different things, okay? So breath support is using the abdominal wall, okay? So all of these muscles in our bellies that we engage when we're doing sit-ups, boat pose, all these random things, any sort of abdominal work. Breath support comes from the abdominal wall. We want to hold our abdominal wall nice and tight. And it's tricky because we want the bottom half of our body to be grounded. We want our abdominal wall to be steady and secure so that our breathing mechanism has a really steady grounding in which to expand and contract. However, when we sing, we also want all of this stuff nice and relaxed because we don't want any tension in our singing. So it becomes this balance, this like yin yang kind of thing where we're trying to remain tension free up here and we're trying to remain grounded from our hips down, but our abdominal wall needs to remain tight in order to support our breathing mechanism. Okay, so when you are supporting your breath, you are holding your abdominal wall tight so that your breathing mechanism above that abdominal wall can have the freedom to expand and contract. And the expanding and contracting is your breath control. So is that clear, the difference between breath support and breath control? Let me know in the comments. Welcome to my newcomers. Hello to my new YouTubers. My name is Tara. I'm a professional singer in New York City, and I am new to YouTube, so thank you for joining me. I would love you if you would subscribe. That will be fantastic. I do free voice lessons every Thursday. free music theory Mondays, free ear training Tuesdays. And these are all live so that you can learn live and ask questions live. And then the replays are automatically posted to the correlating playlist on YouTube. I have a music theory Monday playlist, ear training Tuesday, and so on and so forth. Okay. If there's any questions, there are no stupid questions here. This is a safe learning space, so feel free to drop them in the chat. Okay. Doesn't look like there's any questions on the difference between breath support and breath control. Seems like we're clear on that. Okay, so we're going to start practicing this now. What does this mean? So first, let's look at breath control a little bit. I'm going to stand up so you can see my breathing mechanism. Okay, you can see me on TikTok. You can see me on YouTube. Fantastic. All right. I would love for everybody to take their hands like this at home, and we're going to place them under our armpits on the sides of our rib cage like this, okay? If you don't have the mobility to get them all the way up here, or get your hands up here, find the bottom of the rib cage, do the best that you can, okay? You can be sitting or standing for this. I like to stand because I feel like I can get better control over my breathing mechanism standing. Okay, so with our hands on our rib cage, we're going to take a deep breath in through the nose. When you're singing, you want to nose breathe if you can. It's not always possible, but particularly when we're warming up, right? So we're going to inhale through the nose, and we're going to feel how our rib cage starts to push into our hands. If you're able to stand in front of a mirror, do so. I want you to watch how your rib cage expands, okay? Here we go. And then contracts. Okay, let me show you from the side. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Okay, now, if as you're inhaling and exhaling, if you didn't feel or see your rib cage moving, that's okay, right? I've been doing this for decades. So if you don't have this sort of mobility in your lung space in your rib cage yet, that's okay. What I want you to do is I want you to try one more time. And this time, this is kind of like a fake it till you make it thing that I do with breathing, okay? And what you're going to do is, can you puff out your rib cage without inhaling? Just press your rib cage out as best as you can, and then try to fill that space with air. And then as you exhale, pay attention to the natural elastic recoil, your ribs coming back together. Inhale, do your best to fill out the rib cage, and then exhale, pay attention to the natural recoil of the lungs, okay? We have to learn how to control this natural recoil when we sing. That is our breath control. Good. Let's pause there. I'll see if there's any questions on that. And then we're going to move into experiencing breath and support. Would you say it's rather keeping the air from not moving out too quickly? Yes. Yep. When you're singing, you want to take air in as much air as you can. And ideally as quickly as you can before a phrase starts. And then as you're controlling the elastic recoil, you are controlling the speed at which the air is coming out in your singing voice, right? And obviously if our vocal folds are pressed firmly together, we're going to be releasing less air. That would create like a very clear sound, versus if our vocal folds are a little bit looser, there's more air that's going to be able to come through. So you would need more breath for a breathier sound. Good question, Dina. It's interesting. Sometimes it feels too tight, like I can't get enough air quick enough, or I get nervous and let it out uncontrollably. Yeah. So I think that I would like to offer you this, Dangerous Dave, is that I think that there is a lot of pressure, unnecessary pressure that is put on breath control, right? Because you know how to breathe, you're alive. So I think that a lot of singing instructors put way too much pressure on students for breathing. So my first piece of advice is to do whatever you can to stop putting pressure on yourself. because it's never going to yield a positive result. And when we feel nervous, the first thing we do is like tense up and like restrict our breathing mechanism. So I would love for you to maybe meditate or journal and just do some work on trying to get to the root of what is causing you to feel tense when you're breathing. And then like a physical way to try to work through this is to get really good at diaphragmatic breathing, right? This is different than sing from your diaphragm. A diaphragmatic breath is a real thing. And we're going to work on that in a minute. And the reason I'm going to recommend these deep diaphragmatic breaths for you, Dangerous Dame, is because they're gentle, and it's going to slowly train your body how to take nice deep breaths. And the diaphragmatic breath it'll soothe your nervous system, right? Based like that picture from the book here. I'm not sure if you were present. I'll pop it out again. Right. This is our diaphragm. Other page. This is our diaphragm. And when we inhale, right, it sucks. If we pull it down towards our pelvis, and that sucks the air in. It also massages our internal organs and lets our nervous system know that we are safe, because we're not able to take that deep of a breath when we're unsafe. When we are in fight or flight mode, our breathing becomes shallow. Okay. And the diaphragm doesn't dip as low and massage the organs. So doing the diaphragmatic breath is going to help train you to have great breath support, but it's also going to train your body that you're safe when you're doing these deep breaths. And that's another thing that I would recommend too. A lot of times when our bodies get nervous, when we're trying something new, it's because they don't feel safe. Right. So I would encourage you to, like I said before, journal about it, but also if you're doing it and you start to get a nervous sensation in your body, try to identify it. Okay, I've got a sinking feeling in my stomach. I think this must mean my body is feeling unsafe or nervous about what I'm doing right now. Hi, body, it's me. I'm doing this breathing work intentionally. I love you and you are safe. That may feel really, really uncomfortable at first, but keep working with it and it'll start to feel more natural. Okay, so let's actually work on this diaphragmatic breath now. This is our long-term goal. If you're new to singing, okay, a lot of us breathe high and in our chest, right? So you might see your shoulders move or your chest move. When we sing, we are aiming to move the breath low. Okay, and this is not natural for a lot of people. Modern society has a lot of people chest breathing. So this might be new for you, and this might take a long time for your body to incorporate. The best way to make it happen is to be kind to yourself and to be gentle and compassionate with your body. If you try to force this, your body is going to panic and you're going to take a bunch of steps backwards. Okay, so this is like a titrating thing. You have to be slow and gentle, and you have to go at the pace that your nervous system is willing to go at. So you have to listen to your body, okay? And this is part of why singing is such an act of resistance, because it connects you, mind, body, soul, right? Our modern society just has us walking around in our heads and on technology all the time. Getting in your body is an act of resistance, and you need to be in your body if you want to be a great singer. Okay, so let's practice that together now. All right. If you're brand new to this, I recommend laying on your back. Okay, I'm not going to do that because obviously you can't see, but like I have a yoga mat on the floor under my feet. Totally recommend laying on a hard surface so that you can feel your lungs press into the ground. Okay, and it's a little bit easier to tell which parts of your body are expanding if you're horizontal, if you're flat on the ground. But you can also stand or sit for this. So I would ask that everybody puts one hand on their chest and one hand just below the rib cage. Okay. And now for fun, I want you to stick out your belly as much as you can. And then just let it go. Don't worry about breathing. We're just practicing sticking out our belly and then letting it go. Stick out the belly and relax it. Notice if this makes your body feel any sort of panic. right? Maybe this is where we have to start before we can practice diaphragmatic breathing. And the reason I start here is because, particularly with my students in female bodies, we have all been taught to suck it in. That thinness is ideal, right? So for especially entertainers, professional singers, sticking out your belly is like a political idea, right? We're not allowed to stick out our bellies. So liberate your belly. Stick it out and press it back in, okay? Now we're going to try to add the breath. And what we're doing is we're going to in through the nose and out through the mouth. If you start to feel dizzy, please pause. Listen to your body, okay? And the goal is, as we start to take these deep breaths, we want the hand on our chest to stay as still as possible and the hand on our belly to move a lot, okay? And here's the thing, it might not come naturally to you at first. So if it doesn't, I want you to force it. Stick your belly out and then fill up with air, because eventually the processes they'll merge, they'll marry each other, and your belly will naturally go out when you take a deep breath to create space for the diaphragm, okay? But what we don't want to do is put too much pressure on ourselves. If you start to feel frustrated because your body isn't doing it yet, take a break, okay? What we don't want to do is create a trauma response surrounding this breath practice, because then that becomes an extra barrier to learning how to breathe. So please, everybody, be gentle at home, okay? If you're not laying on the ground, I recommend standing in front of a mirror so that you can actually see, is my belly expanding? Is my chest staying still? And when I'm exhaling, I challenge you to draw your abdominal wall towards your spine. And I think about pressing from my belly button into my back, And what that does is it presses all the oxygen out. Something that we don't think about often is that we have these like little pockets in the sides and corners of our lungs where like stale air is just hanging out. So if we don't actually push it out, right, it's just hanging out in there, okay? So we're going to practice 3 to 5 of these in a row. I will cue you. If you feel dizzy, please stop, okay? Everybody prepare. Feet on the ground. If you're standing or sitting, we're trying to create as tall of a spine as we possibly can while supporting the natural curvature of the spine, okay? If you're laying on the ground, feel your body connected to the back of the floor. Pay attention to how your lungs and rib cage press into the ground as we inhale and exhale. Okay? If you're standing, or sitting, you're using your hands for this feedback. Okay, here we go. In through the nose, puff out the belly. Try to keep the hand on your chest nice and steady. Okay, and then exhale through the mouth as slowly as you can. Press the belly button to spine. Get all the air out. Shh. I like to use the shh sound because it soothes my nervous system. So if you're new to this kind of breathing, this is another little hack for your nervous system. It also provides a little bit of resistance on the exhale and gives us feedback as to how fast we're exhaling, right? If we're exhaling really fast, it's going to be shh. And if we're exhaling slowly, it's going to be shh. So we want to go for a gentle, slow shh, okay? Here we go. Round 2. Inhale through the nose, puff out the belly, press it out. If it doesn't want to do it on its own, hold it there, and then fill the space with air. Try to keep the hand on your chest as still as possible without inviting tension into your shoulders. I know, it's like tapping your head and rubbing your belly at the same time. Exhale. Control your abdominal wall. Control the speed of your exhale. Gently draw your belly button towards your spine. Again, in through the nose. Belly puffs out. Chest and shoulders stay relaxed. And then we exhale, drawing our abdominal wall towards our spine. Slow, steady, and as controlled as you can make it. And if you're not doing it like me, don't judge yourself. I've been a singer for almost 30 years. Don't judge yourself, all right? All right. I have a little tank top on. I'm going to lift up my sweatshirt so that you all can see my mechanism a little bit easier. And I'm going to do 3 more of these, okay? Chest hand, belly hand. Here we go. Inhale. Return to your natural breathing. Allow your body to rest and relax a little bit. And we'll pause here for any questions, or if you need any clarification, or if you'd like me to explain anything else again. Hi, Jeffrey. How are you? Nice to see you today. Thanks for hanging out. All right. Scrolling up here on TikTok. Dina, all the likes. Thank you, my love. All right. Dina says, if I think about breathing, I mess it up. So it's pretty much hope and sing for me. So what you want to do, Dina, I think that this is pretty common, that people get in their heads about breathing, right? And I want you to always remember, oh, I'm alive. I know how to breathe, right? So like there's no wrong way to breathe, but there is an optimized way of breathing for singing, okay? So what you want to do, Dina, is you want to practice these breathing exercises alone. You want to practice them while you're not singing so that you can fully focus on learning breath control and breath support when all you have to do is focus on breathing. You don't also have to focus on pitch, lyrics, all the other things, right? You want your focus to only be on breathing. And you have to do this consistently so that your body learns how to do it without you trying. And then it will just kind of happen when you're singing. There are times when I still have to think about breath support. Like if I have a really high belty note coming and I'm like, okay, squeeze that abdominal wall, girl, or you're not going to get there. So even as a professional who's been doing this for decades, like I still do have moments where I do have to consciously think about my breath support or my breath control on stage, but they're few and far between. It only really happens when I have a difficult part of a song coming up that I know I have to be mentally aware that I have to check in with my breathing or I'm not going to hit the note, or it's going to fall flat, or I'm not going to be able to hold it as long as I need to, or whatever, you know? I hope that was helpful. You're not meant to like be able to learn this type of breathing if you've never done it before and then just use it with your singing the next day. It's a slow burn. It's not going to happen that quickly. So you have to be really dedicated and consistent with your practice. But it is a game changer, let me tell you. All right. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, my goodness, my phone is freaking out. Freaking out. B. Randy, thank you for the follow. Hi, Aptomla. Nice to see you. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the likes, Melody. If only my brain would allow that. I will try. Yes, practice the two things separately. And then what I would recommend is practicing the breathing and then immediately practice singing something, because your body will start incorporating what you just did into your singing, like without you even having to think about it. The human body is amazing. Like just allow its wisdom to take over. Hi, Yukigumo. How are you today? B. Randy, do you think I can master this in 2 weeks? I have worship team auditions in 2 weeks. So you just answered my question. Master it in 2 weeks? No. But can you greatly improve in 2 weeks? Yes. If you practice it every day, and I would practice it, if you only have 2 weeks, you got to do it morning, noon, and night. Even if it's just 5 to 10 minutes each time. I definitely recommend doing it at least once a day, depending on how serious you are, morning and night. It's so effective before bed to help you get a good night's sleep. Oh, you don't have to apologize. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're doing well. Yeah. And then if you're really dedicated, 3, 4, even 5 times a day. So this breath work, developing this type of breath work for singing is a motor skill. Okay. And motor skills are best learned by the body in small chunks consistently. So you're much better off practicing your breathing like 3 or 4 times in 5-minute spurts every day than you are doing like a 20-minute breathing work or a 30-minute breathing practice. Okay. Okay. So now that we have an idea of what a deep diaphragmatic breath looks like in our bodies, I would love to walk you through one of my favorite breathing exercises for singing. This is, wait, do I want to do that now or do I want to do something else first? Hold 1 second, please. Let me think through this. Which is best to do first? I think I'm going to give you 2 yogic breath techniques before we do the singing one. Okay. Dangerous Dame says, my nose was broken when I was a teenager and it didn't heal properly. So breathing through my nose is only working one lung because I can only breathe through one nostril. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And breathe through your mouth if you need to. It's truly okay. I know that nose breathing is technically speaking healthier for us, but like obviously you got to do what you got to do. And I do wonder, I imagine there must be some sort of physical therapy I would think that you could do to help improve your breathing. Fun fact, I just learned, well, I knew this my whole life. I'm tongue tied, which means there's this thing called the frenum that is in between the bottom of your mouth and the tongue that comes, everybody has it, but mine is very far forward, which means I can't stick out my tongue very far. I can't retract my tongue very far. Like essentially my tongue is stuck to the bottom of my mouth and I only have a tiny little bit of the tip of the tongue. See? That I can actually freely move. And I learned very recently, like 2 weeks ago, that this can have long-term, long-lasting effects on the human body because the tongue connects to fascia that goes all the way through our bodies. It connects to our diaphragm and goes all the way down to our toes. Okay, so I have been working with someone called a myofunctional therapist to do tongue exercises to release these muscles. And my breathing has improved. My posture has improved. My singing voice has more depth. Like the amount of things that this tongue work has changed in my body. And the only reason I'm sharing this with you all is in case it will help anyone else. So they used to, when babies were born, they used to look for tongue ties all the time because it would, infants would have a hard time latching to breastfeed if they had a tongue tie. However, in 1970s, when formula became really popular, they stopped looking for tongue ties because it's easier for babies to sip from a bottle. So it wasn't as necessary to look for tongue ties. Well, fast forward, here we are in the 2020s, and they're realizing that adults who didn't have their tongue ties released are having a lot of issues. It is tightening your nervous system. It's squishing your posture. Like there's all these things. And so I just learned about this a couple weeks ago, but because science is coming back around full circle to realize, oh, this is a problem when we don't release this at birth, doctors are now starting to check infants again for tongue ties and releasing them at birth. But just to say that, like, if you have trouble breathing or you feel like you're choking on your tongue, definitely look into tongue pulling exercises. And I think it's worth looking in the mirror and seeing if you have a tongue tie because it's fairly common for those of us who were born between like 1970 and like, I don't know, 2015 or 2020. Thank you for sharing this. My niece was born with it as well. Yep. I appreciate your advice. I was just starting to consider breaking my nose again. Oh, I don't recommend that. That sounds really, really tough on yourself. But something I've noticed through this tongue work is there's a proper tongue posture. Our tongue should be pushing up on the roof of our mouths. And it's hard for me to do that because my tongue is stuck to the bottom of my mouth. But when I press it, I've been working with the muscles so I can press it against the roof of my mouth now, there's more space in my sinus cavity and it's easier for me to breathe through my nose. My airways become bigger. My sleep has become better because of this. And I think it can be a huge cause of sleep apnea as well. If anybody here has sleep apnea, check out nasal breathing and like airway optimization. Okay, I hope that was helpful. All right, let's do 2 more exercises. The next one we're going to do is called a box breath, okay? And this is like a comprehensive breathwork exercise. It also shows up in yoga, things like that. Okay, so I'm going to scooch back so y'all can see me. I do recommend the one hand on the chest and the one hand on the belly again, just for feedback, okay? And sit up nice and tall. Okay, the box breath means that we inhale for 4, hold the breath in for 4, exhale for 4, and then hold the breath out. Hold the exhale for 4. Now, holding your breath with no air in your lungs can feel scary for some people. Some people's bodies are not ready for that. If you are one of those people, skip it. If your heart starts palpitating and you're like, I don't feel safe, inhale. Okay, listen to your body. All right. But the reason we hold out the exhale is because it increases our carbon dioxide tolerance. And if we do it slowly and gently, this is very beneficial, but not if your body is panicking. Okay. Make sure you're listening to yourself. And we're going to start with 4, but the goal of box breath is to increase it to 5 or 6 or 7 or 8. Okay. Here we go. Close your eyes if you feel comfortable or invite a soft gaze. Exhale the air out. Inhale through the nose for 4. Try to breathe into that belly, expand that belly, and then hold the inhale for 4. Exhale. Can you slowly use your abdominal wall to press your belly button towards your spine, pushing the air out, and then can you hold the air out for 4? Inhaling 1. Hold. Exhaling. Hold. Inhaling. Hold. Exhaling. Hold. Let's try for 5 this time. Inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. If 5 isn't working for you, go back to 4 or even 3. Do what is working for your body. Meet yourself where you are. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. When you exhale, you want to try to stretch the breath over all 5 counts. Hold. Last one, inhale. Hold. On the exhale, control your belly button towards your spine. Control the elastic recoil of the breath. This is your breath control, and hold. And return to your natural breath. Give yourself a break. Have a sip of water. Are there any questions on the box breathing exercise or any observations? What did you feel inside your body? Did it feel safe for you to hold out the exhale? I would love to know any sort of feedback. Hey, Shining Light, how are you today? Anything that you're comfortable sharing, or any observations, anything that was hard for you or easy for you? I nerded out on the tongue stuff last year. It's fascinating, isn't it, Dina? My mind is blown. It's like also because I'm working muscles in my tongue, I've had chronic shoulder pain that is releasing. It was related to my tongue being frozen on this side. I had a really bad bike accident when I was 9 years old, and it like stunted this entire right side of my body. I don't know if you guys can see, but I have some scars on my face here and here. I like faced into the pavement and it really messed up my shoulder and everything. And also my tongue, but I never realized that my tongue was frozen over here and my jaw too. So now that it's been releasing, I'm also like, am I going to have to relearn how to sing? Like I've learned how to sing with all of this frozen. And it's fascinating how much more space I have to create depth in my tone after just doing these exercises for a week. Melody, thank you for all the likes. Hi, Ange. How are you if you're still here? Nice to see you today. Hi, Ned. I'm doing good. Elisa, it's nice to have you here. Alyssa, excuse me. I forgot. You missed breath control exercises. Don't worry, we still have 2 more. And Shining Light, I don't know that you've been here. I know that you have problems with your account, but I have a YouTube as well now, same handle at Resident Harmony Nerd. You can also find it in my link tree. It'll take you right to my YouTube. You can subscribe. All of the replays of all of these sessions are on YouTube Live. So if you go to my YouTube on my YouTube page, excuse me. So if you go to YouTube, go to my main page and there's playlists. The playlist for this is called Free Voice Lesson Thursday. And you can start this session from the beginning. We did an anatomy lesson first, and then we've been working on some breath control exercises. We're going to do one more yogic breathwork exercise that I have found made me a much better singer. This one is a little tricky. It's a little more advanced, so don't be hard on yourself if you don't get it right away. But I actually found a bunch of opera people, like people in their in master's programs for opera, who use this breath. It's called Kapalabhati or Kalabhati, excuse me, or breath of fire. And one person wrote an entire dissertation, like their PhD thesis, on using breath of fire for breath control for singing. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is the coolest thing. Like I came to the same conclusion. I'm not an opera singer, but also realized how much this breath is incredibly effective for singing training. So we're going to work on that one next. What's the name again of the YouTube channel? It's at Resident Harmony Nerd, the same handle that I have here. And if you go to my link tree, like go to my bio and click on the link tree, my YouTube link will pop right up and you can just click on it and follow me there. That's a little bit easier than searching for me. Yes, I have the same profile picture and everything. I tried to make it as clear as possible that it's the same person. Dangerous Dame says, I had to remind myself to release it controlled. I noticed a little bit more tension on my shoulders. Yeah, because if your body's not used yet to controlling the elastic recoil, let's take a minute to just experience the elastic recoil. Put your hands on the sides of your rib cage, please, and take a big breath in. Can you hold your ribs out as you start to slowly let the air out? Do you hear how hard it is to negotiate leaving my ribs wide while the air is coming out? And then can you just let it go really fast? What happens? Everything collapses. Do it again. Right. I'm exaggerating with my shoulders just to show you all on, through the screen. But you want to allow yourself to feel and experience that elastic recoil because that's what you're fighting against. You're trying to hold your intercostal muscles out as you exhale. So for a lot of people, it will cause your shoulders to tense. Just notice it for now. If they need to stay tense, it's okay. Just be like, okay, my shoulders are tense. Can I relax them even 5%? Can I relax them more? Right? You have to meet your body where it is without judgment. If you judge your body, your body's going to tense right up. And that's the last thing we want when we sing. Okay. Grab some water. And we're going to practice this breath of fire now. And then we're going to do one more breathing exercise. And it's one of my favorite breathing exercises. I do this with all my students because it works your breath support and breath control at the same time, which most of these do. But let's get started with breath of fire. Okay, so I like to have a timer available so that I know that I'm doing this in like 30-second rounds. I don't recommend, if you're brand new to this, I don't recommend doing it for more than like 15 to 30 seconds. Wait until your body gets used to it and then gradually increase the amount of time you practice it. I usually tell my students to start with 3 rounds of 30 seconds each, taking a 30-second break in between to allow your breathing to reset. Okay. So I'm going to show you what breath of fire looks like, and then we're going to talk through how you can do it at home. Okay. So this time I'm going to put my hand here so that you can see, because I'm using my belly button as if it were a hydraulic pump. Okay. I'm more advanced at this, so I'm going to do it from my nose, but you can also do it from your mouth, okay? And it looks like this. So So I am snapping my belly button towards my spine to force a strong exhale. And the inhale is just a natural recoil. I'm not even thinking about my inhale. I'm just focusing on the exhale. Okay. So when you start, you're going to think of this. If you're brand new to this breath, you're going to think of it like a dog panting. Open your mouth, stick out your tongue. And you're going to go much slower than I just did. If you're brand new, this is where you're going to start. You're going to do that for 30 seconds or until you feel dizzy. Okay. If you're not used to getting this much oxygen to your brain and in your bloodstream, you will feel dizzy. So I definitely recommend starting this one sitting or laying down and listen to your body if you get dizzy. All right. Yes. Yes, the YouTube channel is me. Oh, that's shining light. Yes, correct. Thank you. All right. So let's try. I'm going to put a little timer on. Let's try a 30-second round. We're going to go slowly, dog breath style. Unless you are familiar with this breath, then you can go ahead and do your thing. All right. Stopwatch timers. Let's do 30 seconds. All right. Here we go. Try to make the exhale come from your belly button. If you feel dizzy, stop and rest. Return to your natural breath. Okay, that's the end of round one. How did it feel? Let me know in the comments. How did you do? Was it hard? Did you get dizzy? Did you feel safe? How did you do? Oh, wait, it's fun. I'm really enjoying this. My inner child is so happy. I love that. It is fun. It's also really effective if you're really cold and you're outside. It's called Breath of Fire for a reason and will warm you right up. The HISS exercise is helpful, Caleb. We're going to work on one of those after we're finished with Breath of Fire. So probably in about the next 2 to 5 minutes. Yes. Yep. Tara Lawton voice is me. Yep. Hi. And my YouTube channel is YouTube/Resident Harmony Nerd. So basically you could continue forever. What do you mean, Tina? With the Breath of Fire? Let me know. Okay, we're going to do our second round. That was a good break. Okay. So this time I'm going to close my mouth and I'm going to work from my nose and I'm going to maintain a slow pace. So if the dog breath was hard for you, keep doing that. That's like level 1. Okay. Now I'm going to exemplify level 2, but you need to meet yourself where you are. Okay. Here we go. Starting now, go ahead. So we're either doing the dog breath or if we're ready for step 2, okay, end of round 2. Any questions after that round? Round 3, I'm going to show you full out, and it is tiring. It's a lot of work to have good breath control and breath support. Yeah, the Breath of Fire pumping thing that you did. Yes, yeah. I think that in yoga, the longest I've ever seen it practiced is like 3 to 5 minutes without stopping. You have to build up your tolerance. So in theory, yes, you could go forever and ever, but listen to your body if you get dizzy or you need a break. Caleb, the diaphragm, that's a great question. Caleb is asking, is the diaphragm something that gets stronger or just the muscles around it? So the diaphragm is a passive muscle, meaning it's just the muscles around it that you're actually strengthening. I don't think you were here earlier, so I'll just pop out my diagram one more time for anybody who's just joining us. Excuse me, itchy nose. So this is what, come on, TikTok. Green screen, quit it. All right, hold on. Let me get the green screen off here. Yes. Right. So this is what the respiratory system looks like. This is a little diagram here, okay? And this is the diaphragm, all right? You see how it kind of creates a negative space up into the lungs? Okay, but we can't move the diaphragm itself. It's a passive muscle. We have to use all the muscles around it to move the diaphragm. And what happens when we inhale is the diaphragm is pulled down towards our pelvis, okay? And that neutralizes this negative space inside the lungs, effectively sucking in air, right? Think of it like a barometer. Did you ever make a barometer in like grade school with a balloon over the top of a jar? Our diaphragm's kind of like that balloon, okay? When we pull it down, we suck air in, and when we control it releasing back up to its natural position, that's when we exhale. Hi, Amanda. Nice to see you. Okay, let's do one more round of breath of fire. Meet yourself where you're at. Here we go. And starting now. We're doing, if we're brand new to this, we're doing dog breath. If we're level 2, we're, doing. If we're advanced, we're going. All right, end of round 3. Then returning to our natural breath. If we're brand new when we practice, we're doing 3 rounds of 30 seconds each, and then gradually increasing it as we feel ready. Okay, do we have any questions on that before we move on to our final breathing exercise for today? I'll give you a moment for questions, or if you'd like to share anything about your experience, that's absolutely welcome here. For people who are new here, my name is Tara. I'm a professional singer based in New York City, as well as a singing teacher and vocal coach, yoga instructor. And when I started my content creation journey, I realized how gatekept music education is and how much there's a need. People are thirsting for this knowledge that is often kept behind a high paywall. So I have several free offerings each week: Music Theory Mondays, Ear Training Tuesdays, Warm-Up Wednesdays, Free Voice Lesson Thursdays, and Frequency Fridays. Frequency Fridays is like nervous system regulation, confidence building, talking about our struggles. It's like the soul piece of music making. Music Theory Monday and Ear Training Tuesdays are self-explanatory, but what we do is we learn the music theory on Monday, and then we ear train. We do the ear training for the music theory technique on Tuesday. So they're sister sessions, but you don't have to attend one to understand the other. And all of these sessions are done live on TikTok and on YouTube. My handle is @ResidentHarmonyNerd on both platforms. But if you miss something live, everything is reposted on YouTube. I have a Music Theory Monday playlist. I have a Ear Training Tuesday playlist. I have a Warm-Up Wednesday playlist. Warm-Up Wednesdays is me showing you all my warm-up routine as a professional singer. I tell you like what I do, why I do it in the order I do it, and why I choose the exercises I do so that you can develop your own warm-up routine at home. Then Free Voice Lesson Thursdays, we have a different topic each week. And same thing with Frequency Fridays. And if I have decided the topic, then it'll be in the description. And you're also welcome to suggest a topic if there's something you want to learn. So there was a lot of interest last Thursday in learning how to mix belt, but breath support is important before mixed belt. So I wanted to do breath support first, and then we'll do mixed belt either next week or the week after. It is a more advanced technique. And if you are able to send a tip, it's over here on my TikTok green screen, but unfortunately YouTube doesn't have one. If you go to my link tree in my profile, the first button is to join my email list. And if you choose to join my email list, you'll immediately be emailed a free PDF on music theory basics for ear training. And it includes instructions to practice ear training on your own, even if you don't play any instruments, okay? And the second button is a link to my YouTube. Since I'm new on YouTube, anybody on TikTok who's able to hop over there and subscribe, I greatly appreciate it. It's a great way to support me, especially if you're not in a position to tip or donate. Free ways to support me are following, liking, sharing, inviting your friends, anything like that helps to get the word out. And if you are able to financially contribute, even $1, I do accept tips. And that is the third button on my link tree. It says tip me please. And when you click on that, it'll open up a document with information on my Venmo, my Zelle, Cash App, PayPal, all the things. And, even $1 helps. And thank you so much to those of you who have sent me tips. I see you, I appreciate you, and you're helping to keep the Harmony Nerd community free. So I really, really deeply appreciate that. I also offer one-to-one lessons if you're interested in private online lessons. And I also have something called a vocal assessment, which is going to help you improve your singing. Even if you don't have the time or money for regular lessons, it's like a one-off meeting in which you sing a couple songs for me, and I provide you with a spreadsheet of information of what you're great at, what you could improve on, and also this is the money piece. It's a list of free resources to help you practice the things you need help with. So it takes the guesswork out of practicing singing on your own. If you struggle with breath work, I'm going to send you a link to a YouTube video that's going to help you with the breath work that you need help with. If you struggle with mixed belt, I'm going to send you to a YouTube link that has a bunch of mixed belt exercises, or give you a link to something in my YouTube Drive that is an exercise I've created for this specific thing. So it's not like you just come to me for a vocal assessment. I tell you what you do well and what you do poorly, and then you're on your own. No, I give you resources so that you can become a better singer on your own. And then once you incorporate that feedback, you can always book another vocal assessment and get more feedback, new feedback. So this was my answer to help people who want to improve their singing, but can't necessarily afford regular lessons or don't have the time to afford regular lessons. With that being said, I do offer weekly and bi-weekly lessons. If people are interested, but they only want to do like every other week and not every week, I do offer that. Hi, Fairy House. Tell them how many apples that is so they know. How many apples? What are apples? Is apples money? I don't know. Help me, teach me. What do we have over here? How high should I feel the inhale up into the ribs? Thank you so much. You're welcome, Dangerous Dame. So we're working on diaphragmatic breathing, Caleb. And I do recommend we spend a lot of time on it and where you should feel the movement in your lungs and in your body at the beginning of this session. So after I end this live, it will immediately be posted to my page. So why don't you go back and watch the replay, and it'll answer that question really thoroughly. Okay. In general, though, we're trying to keep our chest tension free, and we're wanting to breathe low. But people breathe in different ways naturally. There's also something called thoracic breathing, which is higher. You see how more of my chest is involved? And that's valid too, right? At the end of the day, you know how to breathe because you're alive. There are optimized ways to breathe for singing, but you have to do what's best for your body. Okay. I do recommend going back and watching the replay though. The most difficult combo for me is light singing with good breath control. Yeah, I think that's pretty common, Thina. I agree. It's the same for me. I will work on breath separately and see. And yeah, you will likely see an improvement working on breath separately. But keep me posted. I'd love to hear your improvements. Okay, apples is money. I thought so. Yeah. So lessons with me are $150 a session. But they are discounted if you're able to buy in a package. That information, the pricing list and all of that is on my website, which is also on my Linktree. If you really want lessons and you can't afford that price point, you can contact me. We can try to work something out. I do have to, keep within a certain range in order to maintain, my apartment. The money it costs to just like exist on this planet. And vocal assessments are $75. Okay. Cool. Thank you for the roses, Amanda. All right. We've got one last exercise. I'm going to sign off by 5:00 Eastern time. For those of you who want to sign up for Frequency Friday, you can, it's scheduled on my, either on my lives on YouTube or on my profile live events on TikTok. You can pre-register and TikTok and the platform will show you what time it is in your time zone. Tomorrow's Frequency Friday is going to be at 12 p.m. Eastern time. I have not yet scheduled tomorrow's sessions, but I will do that this evening. So next week's Music Theory Monday, Ear Training Tuesday, and all that good stuff will be up on my profiles by tomorrow before Frequency Friday. Okay. All right. So for this next exercise, I'm going to play a metronome, and it's going to be at 60 beats per minute. I'm giving you this information because you're going to have to play your own metronome when you practice this at home alone. So this is a free app called Metro Timer. There are a million free metronome apps, or you can go to YouTube and just type in metronome 60 BPM. BPM stands for beats per minute. Okay. And, it'll come up with this, and it's just a click. It sounds like this. So 60 beats per minute means there's one beat, one click every second. Okay. And the exercise goes like this. We're going to inhale through our nose for 4. Okay. Every time. The length of the inhale does not change, but the length of the exhale is going to change. When we exhale, we're going to make a hissing sound like a snake. Okay. The reason we use the hissing sound is because it gives us a lot of feedback as to the amount of air pressure we're letting out. Okay. Now the exhale is going to increase by 8. When you're practicing home alone, I recommend starting with increasing by 4, but for time's sake on social media, I'm going to do 8. So that would look like today we're going to do inhale for 4, for 8. Inhale for 4, for 16. Inhale for 4, for 24. Inhale for 4, for 32. Okay, the goal is 32. You're not going to make it there likely if you're brand new to this. Do the best that you can. And if you can go for longer than 32, have at, go for it. If you're practicing at home, I would recommend in for 4, out for 8. In for 4, out for 12. In for 4, out for 16. In for 4, out for 20. Do you see how I'm increasing by 4 each time instead of 8? Okay. Now, what you want to do is the goal is that we're trying to empty to the bottom of our breath every time we exhale. So when we only have 8 counts to empty out our lungs, the sound is going to be much more intense and powerful. I call it hurricane style. Okay. But when we're exhaling and we have 32 counts that we're trying to fill, you're going to have to reserve the air, and the S sound is going to be much softer and more controlled like this. Do you hear how I'm trying to maintain a steady sound the entire time? What we don't want is this. We want the S sound to be as steady as possible. That's how we know we're controlling our breath. So if the S sound is all over the place, that means you need to work on your controlling the elastic recoil of your lungs. Okay. Once again, if you're brand new to this, we're meeting ourselves where we are with compassion and love, and we're not judging ourselves. Because what happens when we judge ourselves? Our body tenses up and we get nowhere. Can't learn with a tense body and a stressed out nervous system. Okay. Most important thing is to love yourself wherever you are. Okay. We're going to try this together now. I'm going to put the metronome on 60 beats per minute, BPM. Okay. And I will instruct you through it and also do it with you when I'm not giving instructions. Okay. All right. I just sent knowledge thanks to CA from Jenny. Yay. I'm going to go watch the ear training when I miss, but here's a rose. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. Awesome. All right. Cool. We're all caught up on comments. If you have any questions, this is our last exercise, so drop them in the chat and I will answer them before I go. Okay, so wherever you are, standing, sitting nice and tall, here we go. All right, here's the click. Our first round is in for 4, out for 8. Our second round is in for 4, out for 16, okay? You're welcome to place your hands on your chest and your stomach for feedback if you'd like, okay? Here we go. Exhale. Inhale through the nose. 2, 3, 4, 8. Really fast stream of air. Can you get to the bottom of your breath? Inhale. 2, 16. Halfway. Inhale. 2. We're going for 24. Go. 24 can be really tricky. So go nice and slow and steady. You're halfway now. Can you use these next 12 counts to gently press your belly button to your spine and empty out completely? Last 4, 3, 2. Last inhale through the nose. Deepest inhale all day and go. It's the slowest, most steady stream of air. We're aiming for 32. It's okay if we don't get there. And if you can go for longer than 32, go for longer. Here's 16. $31, 32. Keep going if you can. If you can't, that's okay. It gets harder as we go because we're only breathing for 4, but we're breathing out for longer and longer each time. So by the time we get to 24, our bodies are usually pretty tired. So, oh, yes. CA with Cash App. Yes, I did get your tip. Thank you so much. I super appreciate it, Jenny. I can't respond on Cash App. Like on Venmo, I can usually say like, hey, thank you so much. Like, I'm so happy you're a part of the community. But I did see that come through. So thank you. I really appreciate you. How did we do with that exercise? What count did you get to? Did you make it to 24? Sometimes when you're brand new, we don't even make it to 24, and that's okay. Did anybody make it to 32 or past 32? 24. Awesome. $24 is a great starting place. So Fairy House, I would recommend when you practice at home, increase by 4, and that'll it'll increase your sustainability quicker. Wow, I just lost all my words. That's okay. Dangerous James says, oh no, I need to start over. I was releasing on the beat. Oh no, that's okay. Metronomes are easy to find. You can totally try again or go back to the replay. I'm logging off in like 5 minutes. So the replay will be up in the next 5-10 minutes and you can practice again to the replay. Caleb asked, should you use the same amount of air for different registers? It depends on the vocal technique you're using, Caleb. If you're using a vocal technique with really firm vocal fold closure, you're going to use less breath. And if you're using more of like a breathy timbre where your vocal folds are more loose, then you're going to need more breath. And in general, I think for me, I need more air for my low notes and less air for the high notes. I do think that this is fairly universal, although I won't say that it's a rule for absolutely everyone. But think about like the guitar strings, right? Like the lowest guitar string is the biggest, widest one, and it really flops back and forth. Think about how much air that moves because it's so much thicker than like the tiny one. Or think about like the pipes of a pipe organ, right? The lowest note is the widest, tallest pipe. So that takes a lot more air, a lot more space than like the tiny little pipe for the high pitch. Right. And we can think about our throat in this way too, right? Like when we want to take in the most air or create the lowest pitch, we have to make our larynx, our vocal space as wide and as tall as possible versus when we're singing high. Does that make sense? Okay. Friends, do we have any questions? It's time for me to log off. Will I see you for Frequency Friday tomorrow? 12 noon Eastern time. And then I couldn't do a warm-up Wednesday this week. I was too busy. So I'm going to look at my schedule and see if I can do one Saturday morning. Like I said, this will all be on my profiles by later tonight, early tomorrow morning, figuring out my scheduling for next week. Okay, cool. Well, I pitched all my stuff for you guys just like 5 minutes ago, so I won't put you through that again. But if you're new here, my name is Tara. This is Harmony Nerd Central. Thank you so much for joining me here. Tomorrow's free music education offering is Frequency Friday at 12 p.m. noon Eastern time. And keep your eyes open for Music Theory Monday and Ear Training Tuesday next week. They'll be posted soon on my profile with the times. You can pre-register on TikTok, or you can click the notify me button on YouTube, and the platform will remind you when I'm going live. And if you're new here, just some notice that I often do run late for the scheduled time because I live in Brooklyn and a lot of things are out of my control here. So I do often start like 15 to 30 minutes late. I try not to. Tomorrow should be on time because I don't have anything to do in the morning, but I will always show up. And if for some reason I can't show up, check my stories on TikTok, right? If I'm like super late or you think you missed me, just like check my stories. I try to communicate with my story just so like people have an idea of what's up and when I'll be joining. So thanks for hanging out, Jeffrey, Dangerous Dame, Caleb. I really appreciate it as I'm growing my YouTube channel. Your engagement means a lot to me. Thank you. And this was great. I spammed the chat like a maniac. I love the engagement. It's so nice, especially because I feel like I'm just talking at my laptop and my phone. So like, it's so nice when you all are engaged and you ask questions. I like really appreciate it. Yeah. Caleb, thank you for asking the questions. That's what I'm here for. This is your time. You know, I want this knowledge and this education to be accessible to everyone from everywhere, regardless of where you come from or the amount of musical knowledge that you're starting with, right? There's no shame in being a beginner and there's no stupid questions. And I think that the more we share our expertise with each other, and just like, and kindness, like it'll make a ripple effect, you know, it can change the world. So I love you all. Thank you for being a part of this community. So happy that you're here. I hope to see you soon. Take care and have a lovely evening. Bye-bye.